Hey, welcome back. This will be Genesis 47. I'm reading and some commentary. Today is the evening of the 4th of July. So you may hear some fireworks and some bangs going off in the background in the video. We're celebrating 250 years of a country being established by the Lord, and that's something to be said. So, Father God, thank you for today. Thank you that the celebration falls on a Saturday, so most people don't have to work a long day and then celebrate and then get up and go to work tomorrow. I thank you that you are bigger than everything. You're bigger than every idea. You're bigger than every discovery. You're bigger than every situation. And by that I mean I can't understand the depth and the breadth of who you are by trying to fit you inside the things that I understand and recognize. That you're bigger than that. And Lord, that gives me comfort. It gives me comfort to know that no matter what happens, you're bigger. It doesn't bother you. You're not surprised. And that means that I can follow your lead. Holy Spirit, you're welcome here. You're always welcome here. As we dive into your word, put the things on our hearts you want us to know. Plant the seeds that you know will come up later. Grow the seeds that you want to grow now. All this in your beautiful Son, Jesus' name. Amen. All right, 47. Genesis 47. Then Joseph went and told Pharaoh and said, "My father and my brothers, their flocks and their herds and all that they possess, have come from the land of Canaan, and indeed they are in the land of Goshen." And he took 5 men from among his brothers and presented them to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to his brothers, "What is your occupation?" And they said to Pharaoh, "Your servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers." And they said to Pharaoh, "We have come to dwell in the land because your servants have no pastures for their flocks, for the famine is severe in the land of Canaan. Now therefore, please let your servants dwell in the land of Goshen." And Pharaoh spoke to Joseph, saying, "Your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Egypt is before you. Have your father and brothers dwell in the best of the land. Let them dwell in the land of Goshen. And if you know any competent men among them, then make them chief herdsmen over my livestock." All right. Ravi Zacharias, he's been deceased for a couple years now. But I listened to him personally for a long time, early on in my Christian walk. I got saved by a man who introduced Ravi Zacharias to me, RZIM, Ravi Zacharias International Ministries. And I'll never... There's a handful of things that I remember Ravi saying that I will never forget, me personally. One of them is this. And I'm not going to say it the way exactly he said it, but I'm going to give you the principle. There's this idea with human beings where if somebody does something that is out of the ordinary or unexpected to you, and or they do or say something, and you come to find out that it's true, then you're likely to trust them the next time they do or say something that's a little out of the ordinary. And if that time, the next time you find out that to be true also, then it stands to reason that that person is a trustworthy person. Okay? Now, at the time Ravi was saying this to me, he wasn't saying it to me, but I felt like it was to me because that's how the Lord does his thing. But he was saying it about belief in God and faith in God. You know, if God does a thing, or if God tells you he's going to do a thing in your life and then he does it, you're like, all right, I can trust you. But then if he tells you he's going to do another thing and he does it, then you're like, I can trust you. And until all of a sudden one time something doesn't happen according to the way you thought it would, and then you're like, I can't trust you anymore, God. And that's a very important principle. Okay, so Joseph here has just been told by Pharaoh, hey, let them dwell in the best of the land. That's your family, that's your lineage, that's your heritage. Let them dwell in the best of the land of all of what Egypt has to offer. Also, if you've got any good quality men with you, let them be shepherds over my livestock. Okay? This is Pharaoh saying, I trust this man and his judgment. He's only done good to me. Because of that, I let him and I encourage him to make all the judgment decisions so long as he just lets me know. And I'm fine with this arrangement. I trust his judgment. That is a hell of a place to be when you are one of God's people. Especially considering that he who is in the world hates you and is trying to take you out, but can't, so they're trying to keep you from being useful and effective. They're trying to keep you from stepping into your calling, and they're trying to keep you from doing what God said you need to do, what God has laid before you. Okay? So imagine having the president of China vouch and say to you, whatever you decide is best, that's what we're going to go with. For the country's people. That's amazing. That's you can't get much better of a worldly reward here than something like that. Okay? And that is the type of reputation, and that's the type of reputation that God's people are called to have based on the discipline, integrity, and the character that we build through the fiery trials and the ups and downs of life. This is the type of people we are expected to be. Not these churchy people who put on a smile and then you flip you off in the parking lot because you got a space closer than they did, or you're taking too long to get out. That's not what we are called to do. We are called to walk with integrity outside of the church, just exactly the same as we walk with integrity in the church. Because whether or not anyone else is looking, your Father in heaven sees everything that you do, everything that you say, everything that you think, and you will give record and give account to why you said it, why you thought it, and why you did it or not. He's watching everything. Okay? Integrity is our most important character trait as a Christian. We should be known, Jesus even says it in the Word, and by this they will know you are of me, by how well you love one another. Right there at the end of the Gospels. All right. 7. Then Joseph brought in his father Jacob and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to him, "How old are you?" Jacob said to Pharaoh, "The days of my years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have been the days of the years of my life, and they have not attained to the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their pilgrimage." So Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from before Pharaoh. Imagine that, bro. You walk in, Pharaoh gives you that type of thing, and then your dad walks up and blesses Pharaoh, like blesses the prime minister of China like it's no big thing. This is God's people. A peculiar people, is what Paul says. 11. And Joseph situated his father and his brothers, and gave them a possession of the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramesses, as Pharaoh had commanded. Then Joseph provided his father, his brothers, and all of his father's household with bread according to the number in their families. Joseph's brothers turned on him because Joseph was a little bit of a twerp when he was a kid. "I had a dream that you all are going to bow down to me and kiss my feet." Ha! So they're like, "Oh yeah, we got something for you." So they try to kill him. No, Reuben talks some sense into him. Then they're like, "All right, fine. We're just going to get rid of him and we're going to say he died." So they think he's dead. Joseph brings him in and sets his whole family up in the best land that Egypt has to offer, with the most comfortable life that he can provide right now. You want to talk about not repaying evil for evil when you could and when you should. This is how you do it. This is an example of not repaying evil with evil. 13. Now, there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very severe, so that the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished because of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan for the grain which they brought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, "Give us bread, for why should we die in your presence? For the money has failed." Or in other words, we need bread, but money's no good. You just going to let us starve to death? Then Joseph said, "Give your livestock, and I will give you bread for your livestock, if the money is gone." Okay, fine. If the money is gone, give me your animals. Not only will you have money not only will you have food to feed yourself, but then you don't have so many animals that you have to feed either. So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for the horses, the flocks, the cattle of the herds, and for the donkeys. Thus he fed them with bread in exchange for all the livestock that year. And when that year had ended, they came to him the next year and said to him, "We will not hide from my lord that our money is gone. My lord has taken our herds of livestock. There is nothing left in the sight of my lord but our bodies and our lands. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants of Pharaoh. Give us seed that we may live and not die, and the land may not be desolate." Okay. Page is stuck together here. Then Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. For every man of the Egyptians sold his field, because the famine was severe upon them. So the land became Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he moved them into the cities from one end of the borders of Egypt to the other end. Only the land of the priests he did not buy, for the priests had rations allotted to them by Pharaoh, and they ate their rations which Pharaoh gave them. Therefore, they did not sell their lands. 23. Then Joseph said to the people, "Indeed, I have bought you and your land this day for Pharaoh. Look, here is seed for you, and you shall sow the land. And it shall come to pass in the harvest that you shall give 1/5 to Pharaoh. 4/5 shall be your own, as seed for the field and for your food, for those of your households, and for food for your little ones." So they said, "You have saved our lives. Let us find favor in the sight of my Lord, and we will be Pharaoh's servants." And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt to this day, that Pharaoh should have 1/5, except for the land of the priests, except for the land of priests only, which did not become Pharaoh's. Okay, so right here, you've got this extreme famine. Okay? They gave away all their money. Next year, they gave away all their livestock. The next year, they have nothing left except for their bodies in their land. So they gave away their land, and they sold their bodies into servitude, moved into the cities, and now they're working the land for Egypt. Effectively, they have become slaves to the government. They're slaves to the king, effectively. It's either that or die. Okay? At first glance, this is extreme government control. Okay, imagine COVID. Let's take that for example. COVID gets so bad that the United States goes post-apocalyptic, and you've seen movies and you've heard stories about it. There's no reason to even get into it. It goes that route. Okay, The Book of Eli is a great movie to think about, like going that route. Okay. But God's still up in heaven thinking, and he's still up there saying, "What are you doing? It's not done. I'm not finished yet. This is going to be fine. It's all going to work out." It feels like the government or the few elite are trying to control everything. And maybe a compelling argument can be made for that cause or for that end. However, from another perspective, this is one way that God resets things. Okay? One of the big things that humanity has done all throughout history is those that have, or those that are capable, will go into a land that has been uncharted. They will discover the land, and they'll discover people there that are not capable and don't have. They will do whatever it takes to control those people. And if they don't submit, they will remove them, take control of the land, settle there, use up the resources, and eventually there will become a point in time where that process creates entitled people that don't actually work for anything but expect to be given everything. And then there will be a clash, socioeconomic clash. And once that happens, there will be a handful of those that have and those that are capable that will move on to another new land to try again. In this country, that all revolves around the settlers coming over here and dealing with the Indians and now we've got this argument of, oh, we're on stolen land. Whatever, I don't care. People can think whatever they want. This is one way that God resets things, okay? Doing that process of going in, using the resources, oh, there's nothing left, we got to move on and find something else. There's only so many times that you can do that before you run out of places to go, which is why we were looking at trying to colonize Mars or putting people on the moon. Can we sustain life on the moon? Can we sustain life on the Mars? This is the main reason why we were looking at doing it. So the elites could go to a different planet, jettison this one, and then start all over again, because we've screwed this planet up so much that we don't fix it. Okay? God sees this. He knows that we do it. And one of the ways that he deals with this is by forcing us back to the roots. Forcing us back to where we came from. Okay, we'll read Jesus, for example. Before he was born, there was a census that was put in place. So everybody in the land was forced to go back to their hometown, which is why Jesus went back to Nazareth to be born. That's why Mary and Joseph went back to Nazareth, because that's where they were from. Okay? David did it. He was told not to, but he did a census to find out how many people he had. Okay? The government is God's tool. That the government gets abused by the people that are in it and by the people that it affects does not mean the tool is bad. Okay? Think of it this way. You can use a hammer for smashing a nail into a wall or putting a hole in someone's head. If you use it for the latter, it doesn't make the hammer bad. We shouldn't ban all hammers just because we are able to take someone's life with it. How are we going to drive nails then? Oh, we'll get an automatic nail gun. Okay, fine. You can do the same thing again. Just because a thing can be used deceitfully or that it can be abused for selfish reasons does not make the thing bad. And government is God's design. It's his idea. We'll read about it in Exodus with Moses. We'll read about it. The first government, if you will. Okay? Government other than a king or a one-person ruler. Okay? The first where responsibility is spread evenly. Okay, so it's not all centered in one place. That's God's design. It works. Part of, and this gets to an interesting aspect of walking in the Christian life and being an actual Jesus freak, like I am. Some of the things that are God's design, I do not agree with. As a matter of fact, I loathe them. I hate them. Some of them, I hate them with passion. For example, love your enemies more than you love yourself. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. But I will. Because God asked me to. I will. I'll try. At the very least, I will try. Throughout the course of the Bible, especially in the New Testament, Paul talks about obedience to government. Now, everyone's got to draw a line in the sand, okay? Some people want anarchy, no government at all. Some people want full government oversight. We call those radicalized communist socialists, okay? And then there's all this in between, right? The concept, the idea of how government works is God's design. It is good. What we have done with it is not. This here, where Joseph he has brought all the food in, or brought all the grain in the years that he could. knowing that a famine was coming. He effectively set Pharaoh up to be the only person to give out any provisions to the people. It was either go to Pharaoh and beg for provisions or die. That's wise investment. That's being wise with your resources when you can. Okay, now on the other end, if you're one of the people that's begging for resources, it looks like government abuse and government control. They're just trying to hide things from us. They don't want us to know the truth. And that's not what it is at all. It's wise investing on the government's part. Now, the people could have done similar. Maybe some of them did. I don't know. It doesn't say that in the Word. But what it does say is the people sold everything they had, including their land and even their own bodies, for food. So now they're like wards of the state. Even here, several thousand years before Jesus walks the earth, we still have this concept of government having power over the people. And this is God's design. Okay, now, what would make it God's design is, or what would make it more beneficial in some other people's eyes is, if Joseph does not take the land or does not take ownership of the people's bodies, but gives them food back anyway. We call them government handouts, is what we'll call it. That would make some of the people blessed and make some of the people happy. But that's not what government does. Government is here to maintain longevity of the economy and the socio-economic status. That's what government is supposed to do. Here, that's what Joseph is doing. He's looking out for the best interest of the people that he's responsible to protect. Okay, again, this is all one of the ways that God will do a reset, where people have spread out too far. They've gotten too far away from the original intent and the original idea. It's time to rope them and corral them back in. Let them sit here for a while to get all the chaos out of their hearts, to get them unaddicted to all that out there, and get them refocused on what is right, and then we'll start growing again. That's the ebbs and the flows. Okay? 27. So Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt, Jacob, in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions there and grew and multiplied exceedingly. Excuse me. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the length of Jacob's life was 147 years. When the time drew near that Israel must die, he called his son Joseph and said to him, "Now if I have found favor in your sight, please put your hand under my thigh and deal kindly and truly with me. Please do not bury me in Egypt, but let me lie with my fathers. You shall carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burial place." And he said, "I will do as you have said." Then he said, "Swear to me." And he swore to him. So Israel bowed himself on the head of the bed. All right. The God that we serve, the God of the Christian Bible, is bigger than anything you can think of. And I know you hear that. God is so big. Yeah, we hear it all the time. We hear it in church all the time. We hear pastors talking about it all the time. We hear people talking about it all the time. It means one thing when you hear it. It means something different when you sit and that reality hits you with weight. That's a different thing, okay? Like, God thought of the concept of how your respiratory system in your body works, and that you should have a respiratory system in the first place. He thought of the idea of its creation and how it should work, and then another system to repair this one if this one gets hurt or damaged or becomes dysfunctional somehow. So this one will repair that one, and this one will keep you alive. He thought about that. Now, you can't go and live your life beyond the confines of your respiratory system. Like, you can't just take your respiratory system, your lungs, out of your body and be like, to hell with God. I don't need this crap. I'm my own God. And then throw your lungs over there and expect to live another 20, 30 years. You can't do it. But God can. And he doesn't even have to try. There's like no effort involved on his part to live life without a respiratory system. Okay? That's what I'm saying. You and I, we have confines and we have limits that we will never, ever be able to get out of. But God has none. That's something heavy when that hits you. That opens your eyes to who he is. Which is why David says in, I think it's Psalm 27, oh, what is man that you should be mindful of it? Like, who are human beings that you should care or give a crap about us at all? Who are we? We're nothing. We're nothing. We don't matter. And yet you care. You care enough to send your son to die for us? What? When that hits you, it should have a little bit when you got saved. If it didn't, that's okay. When that idea hits you, you'll begin to understand better the God that you serve, being a Christian. We're not serving some punk God like a lot of the other religions have. We're not doing that. We're serving a God that doesn't even have to get up out of his seat, doesn't even have to lift his hand. He just says a few words and things happen. Like, they better happen. You know, so the God that's that powerful and has that great of authority is going to, from time to time, make some judgments and do some things that you don't like and that you don't think are a good idea. And he is not going to explain himself to you because he doesn't have to. And you're just going to have to deal with it. You're just going to have to accept it and live with it and move on. And you can delusion yourself however you want and be like, oh, well, God would have only have done this. He would have only taken this away if he's going to bring something better. Yeah, maybe. It might be. It's not guaranteed at all. But it could be. It's a possibility. Job got back tenfold what he lost. John the Baptist got his head cut off. Isaiah was put in a tree and sawed in half, I think. John the disciple, not John the Baptist, John the disciple, one of the sons of thunder, sons of Zebedee, was put on an island, Patmos, and left there to die. Peter was crucified upside down. Okay? The point I'm making is not everybody, you don't just get back what was taken away just because you serve God. That's not a guarantee. That's some crap that the church has been telling you. And if you're banking on that, you might be setting yourself up for some grave disappointment. If it does happen, awesome. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't matter. The point is, Jesus should still be enough. Whether you get what you wanted or not, Jesus should still be enough. And if he's not, you got some serious soul searching to do. Because the God who created everything and who could erase your entire existence like that, just in the blink of an eye, in the snap of a finger, nobody ever knew you, you never were born, you never left an imprint on earth or in this lifetime anywhere ever, you never were even thought of. He can do that. That type of God is not required to give you what you ask for just because you expect it. That's not the God of the Christian Bible. That's a genie. Okay? So, if you find yourself in a situation where it seems unfair, you're losing some things, and you feel pressure, you're like, man, when is this going to end? It will end one day. It will end one day. But that does not guarantee you're going to get everything back. Your responsibility is to serve the Lord with all your mind, all your heart, all your strength, and all your soul. To love the Lord your God, regardless of what he does for you. Because he saved you. That's it. Salvation is enough. That's your call. That's what you're supposed to do. Everything else is a bonus. Okay? So, this was Genesis 47. We're reading in some commentary. We'll see you next time.